Good morning, everyone. It is happy today after yesterday's additional ping pong session. We're a little erratic. Alex just shared with me to take a peek at copper futures. That's why we're looking at them. They've had several days resting down there on the 200 MA and up today. So um, he's going to share with us a few of the stocks he saw. FXC is usually the one, or FCX is usually the one that moves well with copper. It's gapping up. I think there's some congestion there. As you can see, we always looking to the left. You can see the hourly chart there. It's going to gap up into those pivots, but we'll see how they deal with those pivots. Right? So we've got extended prices, and you could apply this to anything. It's always the same how we interpret the price action. So a lot of chop there, and it's gapping up into the top of that chop. So now we anticipate there'd be some sellers. There's no evidence of them stepping up here to push prices back down. So that's good that it's holding up uh, at that resistance area. But it's going to have to get above there. Let me just go back to those copper futures a minute. And so as we compare one to another, this is exceeding. It began to exceed. It looks like it's just slightly above that pivot there, but it's rallied up into that resistance you can see on the left there. So it may consolidate a little bit, but yeah, setting up as a trade of interest. Right, markets are gapping up here this morning. The Qs in light of Microsoft. I didn't. Where is that this morning? I mean, it was getting shellacked last night. Oh, it's coming back up off of the low, forming a bottoming tail bar. Buyers stepping up, and it didn't get quite down to the 200. Um, so yeah, some bottoming action here. Prices are, down a decent amount. We had measured this a couple of weeks ago when we picked our downside target, and it was close to 10%. Was it this one that we looked at? Oh, I have to put this on percentage. Give me a second here. Not the horizontal line. We want that line. 47, 48 points, and almost 10%. Right? So that's a decent correction into the gap fill. We talked about it being on the 100 MA last week. And so now we're getting a gap up above the high of a red bar. That's powerful. It's into resistance, but a gap of that size. And it's into all those pivots you can see on the hourly chart. And while it might come down a bit, let's flip the factory work, right? So we've got this red line up here in the middle of the red bar. Okay, so far there's been no closes up there. This gap up implies that it should be able to do that. So let's drag this up in the middle of that red bar. Now that it's gapping above that. And so, of course, any pullback. So this is, let me just see this again. It's up above the high there. So it's gapping up into those pivots. So it's kind of like a gap, inside gap, because it's not clearing all of the resistance by getting above it, but the depth of the retracement, which it is being created by a gap rather than a move bar by bar into that. So it does lead a void below. And so it's up to this resistance and some kind of pullback. There's nothing here. There's nothing of, much. And so ideally, if it should pull back here this morning, it's not going to fill the gap because we don't want to see it retrace all the way back down again. Common sense. There's so much lacking of common sense when it comes to technical analysis. But, if you want to learn more about that, tune into MT Live today at 12 o'clock. Exactly what we're going to talk about. All right. So bullish gap up. Semiconductors are moving higher. AMD is up. And we'll just see how this reacts to this resistance area in the first, 5 to 20 minutes or so, and how it holds on to that. And then, of course, we've got the Fed announcement on interest rates at 2 o'clock. Everybody be sitting on the edge of their seats. Will there be a surprise awaiting us with a cut? Possibly. Look at this. Look at the 13-week plummeting to the downside. And let me take you back a few years. Those of you that are subscribers to the advisory letter, let's put this on a weekly chart so you can see more. Oh, it is on a weekly chart. Okay. So back here where interest rates were close to zero, doing nothing, you can go back and look at the letters and scroll back. All the old letters are there. And I wrote, when this starts going up, because it looks like it's going to, the market is going to be in trouble. It's going to start experiencing trouble. And of course, we know it did. A lot of trouble. And now it's rolling over. I don't know if these tails are even real, because a lot of times there's some bad ticks in here. As you can see here, there's kind of erroneous price action that's happening there. But this is moving down, which is telling us that institutions, banks, hedge funds have an overwhelmingly strong belief that a rate cut is coming, more so than any other time this year with all of that talking about it. So could they be a surprise today? Maybe. We wouldn't be so surprised because of the action here in this 13-week Treasury bill, plummeting the way it is. So we'll be all tuned in at 2 o'clock to see. So the 10-year is also moving lower. You can see the weekly chart breaking down now under here. Should continue to go lower. And what we want to see, the markets are always interesting. They can be confusing at times, sometimes more than we like. And one of the things I'll point out to you is what I'm getting to here is these yield curves, which primarily are still negative. Some of these shorter ones have turned positive, but this is now falling sharply, and the question is, will it continue to fall and move at some point under the 10-year, under the 30-year? So the 30-year is now at 4.361. If the 13-week comes under 5%, while it's still not going to be below this, that's going to be a big deal. So something we're going to keep an eye on. Let's go back to this screen. There was a lot of wiggling around yesterday. Transports moved up, gave it back. Industrials pretty much held their own impressively. Everything else was flip-flopping around until the end of the day. This held up pretty well, but remember, this was the biggest underperformer previously. And then, we had all of this catch up where money flowed into what wasn't moving. transports, the Dow, the Russell, and many other things that just weren't moving. It's like, there was a shotgun approach of just dumping money into underperformers. And so now they pull back and they're consolidating the gain. And so not comment, something we spoke about in the green room the other day on some of these indices that were forming monthly reversal bars. And so look at the S&P here. It's one bar. And just like we view red bars within an uptrend, our expectation is that it has a greater probability of being ignored. What does that mean, ignored? Well, it's followed by a green bar, as if like, okay, it was a red bar and, the bullish trend continues. So now we're getting a topping tail bar. This is going to open up. I don't know if that weekly chart updates. It does not. It's not going to negate the topping tail bar. It would have to go all the way back up to that previous high up there to do that, or at least get a closing price above the 20 MA to begin to, turn. It still would look like a topping tail bar. It'd have to get up there today. Anyway, it's in an uptrend. Will it be ignored this time? I don't know. But the move started here. There was a correction. Had the strong move. We had the RBI. And now we'll see if we get this topping tail bar. And let's take a look at the Qs. And so they're gapping up into that resistance area. And we've got a big red bar there. That's going to be hard to negate. So just putting things in perspective here from the higher time frame, it's still in an uptrend. It does display slowing momentum. Look at the move. Look at the move. Between red bars, and look at the move. So momentum is definitely slowing. This is how we view slowing momentum. No indicators. We just look at the distance between the highs and then a red bar. And of course, does this break below those lows? Just because you get a red bar, is there actually confirmation? Just like here, you had a big nasty down red bar, and it was kind of like a bear flag thing, and then it broke down and down through there and so on. So now it's rebuilding and now gapping up, and as I mentioned before, void below, and we'll see how it handles that. SMHs led the way down. Big extension bar, wide range, bearish bar, where into the gap fill. Got to know those gaps. Didn't mean it can't go through it, but it's a reference point. When you look to the left, you look for pivots, you look for congestion, you look for unfilled gaps, and now it's gapping up to the top, above the top of that wide range red bar. It's a monster gap. And that's one of the scans in the gap course. And you don't get many of these, but in the gap layout, it scans for gaps above the high of a bearish wide range bar and scans for gaps below the low of a wide range green bar, because they often present big opportunities. By the way, today's the last day you can buy that gap course at 50% off. MTS Gap is the code if you want to consider that. Just go to the Gap page, MTS Gap. All right. So we've got these big gaps, bullish. Looks like a bottom is in place. And that's what it looks like. That's as I said, a big gap. How are they going to deal with this resistance is going to be key. So that is definitely on our agenda. All right. Let's see here. Just a quick look around because, of course, tech has to be gapping up and is gapping to the high of a red bar. It's such a dramatic turn. Um, and, and then the Fed news coming out. So, you know, big moves here, but things just may peter out real fast as people anticipate what may come out of the Fed chair's mouth. I'll just keep that in mind. mid caps. This is one of the catch up ones that pulled back and holding up pretty well here. Uh, Gold, wow, big gap. Inflation concerns? I don't know. And interest rates going down like that. Why the big move in gold? Silver not doing much. Crude oil, you know, starting to make a turn here. XLE has been all over the place, kind of, but that's bottoming action, of course, but it had a good day yesterday. This looks like it'll continue to move up. Look at it gapping up to the top of that resistance. So a lot of things gapping to resistance. Not so anxious to be jumping in the pond here with these things gapping up to resistance. So I think it's prudent to give it a little while. Just want to take a retailing. What are they doing? So lots of improvements. We'll see how these hold up here today, and then the news announcement. Oh, SPX. That's just before I move on. Of course, that's gapping up. Let's just double check what things are at here. Call side. They zeroed it out. So things, as always, just like yesterday's number, this got down to yesterday's number. So it's common sense, pre-market here, we're seeing where things are, how far they may go or not. Um, and then as things start moving, as things start moving down, as these were, they get climactic. Take a look at the premiums at that time. And if you come into the green room, I'm here even at lunchtime, the majority of the time, just say, hey, Greg, let's take a look at this. And we do. So that's for me. All yours, Dan.
Good morning.
You should be able to just throw yours because I put it on both of our screens are up. I'm going to
Well,
take this one down.
yeah, I took mine down because I couldn't see yours. So now it's back up. So yeah, here, let me post it again in case you didn't see it earlier, but I went through all the earnings and other watch list items there's a number of these that are credit spread, I mean directional also, but I'm obviously more particular on directionals, but a ton of bullish put spread ideas here. So on pullbacks, that's what we will be looking for. I deleted a bunch of earnings already, so let's just see what I kept here. AMD, I said I had the bullish bias, things that sell off like this into earnings, selling out of the money put spread. And I think Alex even did the naked 120s. So semis are written here. 241. I mean, that's I like the gaps that are better, that are gapping over this, like spiders. Look, that's a beautiful, beautiful man. That's even over this one. I said in last night's video that we're range bound. I said over yesterday's high, I got a bullish bias. Under it, bearish bias until we get the next reversal. It was that friggin' simple. Didn't expect a gap up here, but I'm fully bullish on a pullback. We got FOMC at 2. I don't think he's going to do any surprises. Now, I personally did a condor on this, the 390s, and I think the 460s. So that's going to be probably at least 90% of open gain would be my guess at the open. I'll tell you what the credit is if any of you followed me. Pins down a lot, gapping down more, 30-minute high, put spread. Starbucks, I considered a directional. I mean, that's a nice retest, kind of sloppy higher low pattern. But now the gap's too big. Caesars, nothing to do there. Mondelez, directional 30-minute high and put spread idea. Let's see, that one's gapping up here. It's at the prior high, so let's see what it does in the first 30 minutes. You're saying you're taking your gains and going to buy a Gucci purse? All right. 14. We're saying, is it going to be a man purse or a woman purse? Just curious. All right, so fresh, I'm putting in the other computer. Big old bottoming pattern. You got flat 2050, you got a void. That looks great as a directional. This one's gapping down, call spread, bottoming pattern. Let's set an alarm at 2140. See if it can recover some of this gap down. ANET 332. Put spread idea. Today's Wednesday, so we only have 3 days and 2 nights of risk. So I'm not crazy about this one as a directional because of this kerplunk. I like the ones that are more fluid all the way down for directionals, like spiders. Spiders, I think they're directional once we get an intraday entry, but ANET put spread, breakdown failure, range expansion, gapping up to 48, put spread idea. Opening flat, no interest. Mitch, I had a bullish bias. It's a buy setup with a 5-bar turn. I think that's a long-term bottom. Monthly's not a no-brainer. But the daily, weekly, I'm gonna add this to my core list. We got to go through my core list, by the way. I haven't updated that in a long time. LYV, nothing. Fizzler, it's not gapping over yesterday's high, but it's gapping over this 15-minute base. 30-minute high is a put spread idea. Corvo Gold, 125, gapping over yesterday's high, put spread idea. See, it's not a good directional because of all this junk to the left, but put spread. Charlie Papa, put spread. Striker, call spread. Nary, it's a big gap, no bias. Lemonade, call spread. So when I call these out, you option traders, hopefully just write down the symbol in my bias and help me watch it. I don't see any prints. We'll come back. Call spread on TEX, water. It's up a lot. Look, I like things tighter to support like this. This would be an ideal 1, 2, 3 for tomorrow. AKR, it's up too much. Boya, no prints. EXR, put spread. I only see one print up here. That could be a directional also. I'm going to put that in a window. EXR. A pen. That's a nasty gap lower, but I'm going to put it in my excessive gap down list. That's a shock gap. That could be a directional and put spread. Wow, what the heck is this? Is this a Chinese something or other? WGS, Technology Health, Gene DX. All right, it doesn't say it's a bio. This could be a core long. Or, you don't have to use that word. Um, this is 30-minute high, stop yesterday's low. Put that in a window. Um, AX call spread, gap and down. That's bullish, all time frames. I don't see any prints, but bullish. PSA call spread 294. Wow, this is interesting. EXR is a cousin of PSA. So that's interesting that this one's getting whacked in EXR unless that print on EXR was bad. 168, gap's too big. Now let's say this was gapping to 145, then I'd be all over it for put spread and 30-minute high, but gap's too big now. AXS, it's bullish, needs to settle down. Yeah, I can tell in my voice, yeah. ESS, no prints. I don't have a bias unless the gaps maybe above yesterday's high. This is too extended. All right, these are earnings in the morning. TMOS 180, put spread. Boeing, the fact that, the first thing I saw on CNBC when they said earnings out, they said monster miss. And then I'm watching the ticker and it went from negative to positive. So that's how we trade news. Things that go up on bad news are bullish. Now it was up $5. Now it's giving it up, but it's still gapping above yesterday's high, but definite put spread idea. ADP is a call spread idea just because, um, it's gapping and it's up a lot. 348, that's a bullish gap. TT, put spread. Yeah, they also said they appointed a new CEO. So, when you trade news, you have no freaking idea how much of the gain is attributable to whatever piece of information. That's the market's job to assess them all. Marriott, no pattern. Humana, call spread. CCJ, too sloppy. Kib, this is me. No print, but bullish. DD, this is Sam. Sam loves DD. Gap's too big, but watch the pullback. I only see one print, so I don't trust it. But if it is gap in there, call spread idea. WEC. Gap and under yesterday's bar, call spread idea, 30-minute low. Same. Same. I don't see many prints. KHC. Directional and put spread. Hess looks great. All right, I got a shitload of alarms going off here. Hess is a put spread. We did a put spread on PSX yesterday. That's a nasty gap on Humana. All right, okay, cool. I got through all earnings now. Ice Baby. This has shoot, what's earnings on this? We're gonna get out of this thing soon. Um, earnings 8/1. Earnings are tomorrow. Yeah, my iron alarm just went off, so we might have to kill it. But I'm doing ice first and then iron. All right, we next target 153.25. I just want to keep a tight leash on this. Let's sell a third right here, 152.56. Nice. We'll stop here and then 30-minute low, 151.24. Well, our rules are if Iron gapped over it, we give it 5 minutes. But let me look. I'm getting inundated with alarms. PSX alarm. I can only do one at a time because there's only one of me. All right. Spot. Yeah, it's a buy setup. Yeah, I saw your BRKB. Oh, you're out. Okay, it's not a breakout. Got it. Yeah, it looked good yesterday. Oh, all right. ADTN looks good. Let's we have $7 calls. FRSH I had and WGS is bullish gaps and they're both tanking. So remember yesterday that also happened. Number of bullish gaps got creamed. Iran. Yeah, let's see. Where's our stop? Like I said, 5-minute high. If it capped over it, our stop is 1042. So we're still in it. Remember, I gave it over that tail. I'll reset my alarm 1020, but my early alarm went off. Yeah, I had an alarm at 10. PSX alarm. Nice. PSX. I was hoping that we're in it as a naked put. I was hoping to get a 1, 2, 3 for a directional. Let's, I put this in my dad's account. I'm going to cover half for my dad. $42. 42.50. All right, I'm gonna bid. All right, done. Delta Victor alarm. Remember, this is the one I said, let's see if it can come back. PBA. Yeah, I posted that pre-market actually. Oh, my Microsoft. Let's see what midpoint he's at. 16.